In the cold fog of San Francisco stood a maximum security federal prison on Alcatraz Island known as the Rock. It was built for the most dangerous criminals and was considered escape-proof due to its location, with strong winds and cold weather. On a typical Monday night in June 1962, an unimaginable occurrence took place. Three men's desperate desire for freedom outsmarted an entire nation's government. So who was Frank Einstein? Frank Einstein wasn't a regular inmate. Orphaned young, heavily influenced from life on the street, clever, infamous Frank found himself being sentenced to 14 years in Alcatraz in 1960 due to several convictions of theft and burglary. There, he befriended Joe Anglin and Clay Anglin, who were brothers, and together they planned something so incredulous it ultimately broke the history of prison Alcatraz and is still being talked about internationally decades later. Unable to accept his fate of years of imprisonment, Frank gathered his two men, Joe and Clay. Together, they came up with an ingenious plan to escape Alcatraz. Over months, they operated in secret, carefully studying the prison's location and routine. With nothing but sheer patience, they worked hard every day to widen the ventilation ducts beneath their sinks by carving out the moisture-damaged concrete, using unbelievably simple tools like spoons, forks, drills, and discarded saw blades that they stole from the prison. To avoid suspicion from the guards, they removed the grill and camouflaged it with painted cardboards and only worked during music hour to hide the noise. After Operation Silent Drill succeeded, they crafted 3 fake heads out of materials that are seemingly useless but were in fact more valuable than diamonds to them, such as toilet paper, cotton sheets, concrete dust, and toothpaste by hand. To increase the accuracy of a human head, they also collected human hair from the prison's barbershop and glued them on the heads, simulating real hair. And finally, after countless efforts and careful discussion, the day they've all been anticipating for had finally arrived. The footsteps of the prison guards were louder than ever on June 11th of 1962. Every cough and sneeze was a warning for them to operate with more caution. Even the moon seemed to be hiding, as if it was overpowered by the desire to be free from a place so isolated. It made every day feel like a prison inside a prison. Driven by the need to be free, adrenaline rushed through their veins. Frank and the Anglin brothers put the fake heads they made on their beds and covered a fraction of it with a blanket to trick the guards into thinking they were asleep. Before making their way out, they gathered their homemade tools and raft materials. Using the holes they had carved in the ventilation ducts, they crawled one by one into the escape route. After climbing through the ventilation shaft, they made their way down the pipes to the side of the island. Every move was a risk of putting themselves in great danger, yet each move also meant a step closer towards freedom. Once outside, the night was darker than ink. The dark waters stirred beneath the heavy fog that masked their escape. They inflated their handmade raft, stitched from stolen raincoats that were sealed with glue, and pushed it into the freezing water. They quickly got onto the raft, and slowly, the silhouette of Alcatraz prison grew fainter. Frank glanced back one last time at the fortress where isolation was an understatement to describe. Morning broke on Alcatraz. It was another typical morning. The guards wore tired faces, as if they were the ones imprisoned. As Officer Jack reached Cell B, he noticed something strange. The usual coughs and snorings are there except for 2 cells. Feeling unsettled, he shouted, "Rise and shine, Einstein!" No response. "Wake up, inmates, it's count time." Still no response. Irritated, Officer Jack barged in, only to find what appeared to be a man's head, pale and half buried in the blanket. He was about to reach out when he tripped and fell over his feet onto Frank's bed. His heart raced, almost bursting out of his chest as he watched the head roll off and hit the floor. There was dead silence for a few minutes before Officer Jack had finally processed what was going on. He flicked his flashlight across the prison cell and found no trace of Frank Einstein. Without wasting any time, he quickly shouted, "Call the warden! We've got a breakout!" Within seconds, the prison turned into chaos. Guards were moving everywhere, searching through the fog. The prison had always prided itself on being escape-proof, and had now just proven to be wrong. When they reached the roof, the evidence was undeniable. Tools, a hole through the ventilation duct, and raincoats missing from the storage room. They were gone. 3 ghosts had vanished from the rock, leaving behind nothing but confusion, silence, and mystery. Until this day, not a single soul had seen any trace of the 3 ghosts. Some say they drowned in the cold Pacific. Others believe they are walking freely. But one thing was certain: the rock had been outsmarted, and for the first time in years, they had tasted freedom. 3 weeks later, an unexpected visitor walked into the federal court. He was bruised, trembling, and his face was full of guilt. He confessed to being the real culprit behind the crimes that had wrongfully sent Frank Einstein to prison Alcatraz. "I did it." Those 3 powerful words added another shocking twist to the Frank Einstein burglary case. "It wasn't Frank," he continued. "He was just an ordinary man, in the wrong place at the wrong time. His name was Jamal Saran Oipo." Jamal explained that the burglary at a jewelry store had gone terribly wrong. Terrified of getting caught, he had murdered an elderly woman who happened to be one of the most powerful government officials. So, what led to him doing that, you may ask? After endless nights of gambling, Jamal soon found himself drowning in debt. Knowing that he had gotten himself into a situation where living sounded worse than dying, he decided to get his hands dirty after being threatened by a group of gangsters who did illegal business and were also his creditors. For the next 2 years, he changed names and moved cities, but the gangsters eventually found him and put him through punishments that made hell sound heavenly. He realized he could no longer take it and turned himself in, since Alcatraz prison was now a safer place than the outside world. With Jamal's confession, Frank Einstein's name had been finally cleared. Though we often overlook the word freedom, to Frank, it was like a precious diamond that meant everything to him. Being caged inside a 3-meter square cell with little to no freedom at all felt like hell. Months of pain under a false accusation had turned his life upside down. After trials and tribulations, the one thing he had yearned for most has finally come: freedom.